Welcome to the Business Family Marriage Podcast with Tim Smoyer. This is his personal podcast where he shares what he's learning about growing a 7-figure business while also raising 7 children and deepening his relationship with his wife at the same time. He shares what he's learning, what's worked, what hasn't, what he's trying next to grow a fruitful business, family, and marriage. For more on that today, here's Tim.
All right. Welcome back, guys. I'm excited to get into some good stuff here with you today. I've been thinking about this stuff for a long time, and I'm like, finally got this podcast thing I can just record on the go, get this stuff out of my head, and hopefully some of it will be helpful to someone else out there. I just got off a long day of calls, so I'm just vegging out on the couch in our sunroom again. It's the afternoon. Kids are swimming in the pool. And my wife's at my office working, and the nanny's watching the kids. And so I'm like, you know what? After a long day of just calls and calls, it would kind of think like the next thing I would not want to do is just do more talking. But I'm excited to talk about this because this has been in my head for a while about family mission, family business, family vision, and core values and like pillars and how that drives our business forward and our family forward simultaneously at the same time. Now, this is my second episode of this, and so if you are new here, because everyone is, including myself, I really what I'm just trying to do here, this podcast, is just a personal place where I can talk about the things I'm thinking about regarding the intersection of business and family. I think most of us, if we were asked, we would say that our business is here to serve our family, not the other way around. But yet I think we spend a lot of time focused on our business, like more time maybe than we do even on our family. And I know part of that's necessary. It's just kind of like the practical nature of having a successful business that provides for our families. It just requires a lot of attention. And even like in my case, this business provides for several other people's families as well. But I think that having a more successful family is more important than having a successful business. And I know a lot of times those two experiences kind of make us feel like we're torn between our family and our business and our work and the people we love. And the work is kind of a necessary evil that takes us away from the people we want to spend time with, and then we spend time with people, and then we're not making the money that makes everything sustainable. So I get that tension, and I've been thinking more about like these two are they overlap a lot more, and what we learn in business really helps our family be fruitful, and what helps our family be fruitful also helps our business be fruitful. And so I think a lot of the experience that I've been having in growing a business over the past, full-time for 8 years now, has really given me a lot of the skills that's helped me also grow a successful family in a lot of ways. And so I liked to explore that cross-section between those two things and see what we can learn that makes for an ultimate win in both of these areas of our life. It's not really just about achieving like this work-life balance, but it's more about like how do we use the experiences and the skills we're developing in our business to also swing the scales in favor of our family and setting them up to be successful. And growing our business and our family at the same time, I know feels like there's a lot of tension, and there is, but that's what I'm just kind of like want to talk about here and explore with you guys on this podcast. So thanks for being a part of it with me. Thanks for hanging out. I just kind of do these casually on my phone as I have time. I got the first episode up last night. The process went smooth. It was really quick. So like now I feel like I can just record these in the car or wherever. We're just going to get the real raw conversation here together, which will hopefully be good. Today, I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot, and that is this idea of having a family mission, vision, and like strategies for accomplishing those things and core values. So the problem this solves for us, both in our business and our family. I was talking about business because usually this is the context where people think about like your business's mission and vision and blah, 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 is that for me, and I know different personalities kind of respond to this differently, My personality is one where I definitely think big picture. I love thinking 5 years, 10 years into the future. I love dreaming big and then trying to figure out ways to get there. And my personality is not one that is like really super detail oriented. I do get lost pretty quickly when it comes to the minute like details of execution, but that's why I have other people on my team who are great at that, love that, and I think that's part of how we can all work well together. So this is kind of my wheelhouse. This is kind of something I get really excited about and think a lot about. And so when it comes to like the business, one of the problems like where are we going? How are we going to take new ground? What is our business all about? What do we stand for? What do we represent? What are we actually trying to accomplish here? And having a vision of what your business will look like when you get to this place, where there's this dream basically of this picture that you have in your head of this is what I want the business to do, to be able to fulfill for us and for me personally, and be something that gets you like really excited to get there. Like you had that picture in your head. I think having that for our business is really important because it's kind of part of what motivates me anyway to keep going when things are tough, when things are a struggle, when things aren't just like working out the way I want them to. And for the family, having that vision, I think also does something similar, which is what do we want our family to look like? And when I think of a picture of where we want to be, what that gets me really excited. Like, what does that look like? What is that? And then having like this mission too, which is like the mission is the more practical. It's kind of like the thing you're trying to actually accomplish. It's the thing that if you got there, like this is what you would have accomplished. So you can maybe develop this as like our mission is to blah, 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 right? And I'll give you some of those examples here for my business and for our family too, to kind of make this maybe a little more concrete for you. But the mission is like a reflection of this vision, and it just kind of brings this crystal clear direction to your business and also to your family, having your family. So in our business, I know that I get like a lot. Like I have all these opportunities. I got like podcasts to be on. I got speaking events to be at. I got products I'm developing and services that we're tweaking and improving. We have clients that we're working with. I've got a team to manage, and you've got all these different things going on. I really like the way Mike Michalowicz puts it in his book, The Pumpkin Plan. He says the way you grow a prize-winning pumpkin is that you need to first plant a prize-winning seed/idea, and you need to really nurture and water this prize-winning, this seed/idea. And as it grows, the vine is going to grow all these other pumpkins on it. And the way you grow like a really successful business is that you have to cut off. He says you got to cut off all the other pumpkins that are taking nutrients from the big pumpkin, and cut off all those pumpkins so all the nutrients can go to growing one big prize-winning pumpkin. And he said all those other pumpkins are actually opportunities or distractions that are disguised as opportunities. And I know when I read that I read that book in an early phase of our business, and that really hit me because I'm like, yeah, I was doing all these things. I was doing channel management on YouTube for some clients. I was just doing coaching and consulting for others. I was doing audits for these other clients, and I was trying to get I was selling online courses. I was writing a book, and I was doing like all these things. And I'm like, what does my business want to be best in the world at? What do I want my business to be known for? And I settled on YouTube content strategy, and now we're also expanding into business development and things too. But I wanted to that's what I want to be known for. We're best in the world at YouTube content strategy. And so I stopped doing the channel management. There was good revenue, it was good money, but it was a distraction, and I couldn't keep growing because I was capped out and had nothing else I could do to continue to keep momentum going. I had literally no more time, and I had no additional opportunities for revenue to come in because I was spending all my time just managing, like keeping all the plates spinning. Like I felt like I was plate spinning every toe, every finger. And it was like, I couldn't afford to let any of them drop, but it just got to be too much. And I told my wife, I was like, I got to let these clients go. I got to stop doing this thing. And that I had to cut that back to an unsustainable amount of income for us. It was like lost 30% of our income right there. And that was when we were just barely making enough to kind of make all of our stuff, pay the bills and get by. And so that was tough, and it lasted for a few months until we kind of finally came back. It bounced back when we started picking up more clients and doing things in the realm that I really wanted to focus on, which was good. But all those other clients, I mean, nothing against them personally, but I had just made the mistake of taking them on in the first place. They were just distractions disguised as opportunities. And so when it comes to our business and our families, in order to like really keep the family and the business on track, like what we need to define, what are we going to be the best in the world at? Like, what do I want my family to be known for? And what is that thing that, like that vision for our family in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, we'll be able to look back and be like, this, we are at the place we wanted to be as a family. And my wife and I as grandparents even by that time, likely, I am assuming. And so having that mission, that vision is the beginning to helping us learn to know what we need to say no to as a family and as a business. Like, should I do this consultation with these people, or should I take these people on as clients, or should I do this podcast interview, or is doing email worth my time? Like, if I don't know exactly where I'm going, like I'll just spin in circles and end up at nowhere fast. So being able to kind of point to something and say, that's what we're shooting for, that's what we're going after for both your business and your family, I think is really, really important. And so then the next level then is, all right, well, what are our strategies for getting there? And I think it's good not to bite off too much here, more than you can chew. And develop a list of maybe 3 to 5 things that if you just did these like 2, 3, 4, or 5, whatever things really, really well, you would likely end up accomplishing this mission. And that, sometimes we're like, I think that makes sense when we think of our business. Usually the goal we're trying to accomplish is a lot more tangible. But when it comes to our family, I think for some people, it's maybe the first time they've ever even thought about, like, what is a family mission and vision, and where am I trying to be, and how am I trying to get there, and why, and which I'll talk about that here in a second. Like, why do we pick these goals and why it matters. But having strategies, building a roadmap, I think is really important. So to help us kind of make it more practical. So maybe just start with we start with just this year. What are things that in our family I just want to accomplish this year? In our business, I just want to accomplish this year. And accomplish sounds a little bit like to-do-ishy. To-do-ishy, is that a word? Task-ishy oriented, which isn't, it could be that, but it's like, where do I want to be at the end of 2021? At the end of 2025, 2030. And then mapping out some really high level things of like, if these things get done, then I should be pretty close to that. And another tool that goes along with this that I found really helpful for me in determining, like, what do I say yes to, what do I say no to, and in making sure that our family goes the direction it needs to, as well as our business, is having these core values. And I know core values are they sound like something, when they're used at their worst, it's just like something you put on a like letterhead, or you hang on like the banner of your office building that people see, but no one really lives by. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the values that you personally just embody, that you just hold really, really dear and close to yourself. That if you violated these, you would feel personally just really upset, and maybe even personally violated at a deep level. These are just things that are just intrinsically deeply true about you. And I have some from our business. For our business, we have 3 external and 3 internal, and they do come out of me, and I think that's appropriate because I am the business. Well, my wife and I own the business 50-50, but I'm the one who primarily works in the business and leads it. We just split the equity mostly for tax purposes. So, but she does. She is an employee of the company as well, as I am. But core values for our business are we do it right, we own it, and we put people first. We are results oriented, results driven. We believe that change is good because our industry is constantly changing all the time, very rapidly. YouTube's always rolling out new things, new features, new programs, stuff like that. So I forget which ones I said. Do it right, own it, people first, results oriented, change is good. Is that 5, 6? I should count them. Here, let me look this up. I feel like I don't think I'm saying all of them. You could be like, Tim, dude, are they really core values if you don't really even know what they are yourself? Yes, they're core because we talk about them all the time in our family, in our business meetings, our family, or in our team's meetings. It's like these are the things that help us determine like what do we actually believe is important and helps us make decisions. Oh, yeah, I think I said them all. Okay, yeah. So our external ones are results focused. So like it's really important to us that we actually get results for our clients and customers. Like it's not as important to us that we just give them information that they feel satisfied by, but it needs to actually work. It actually needs to produce results. Like we want to feel good about the work that we're doing, not just like sell something that someone will buy. 2, it needs to be people first. Like we're actually not a video company. If you're familiar with my company, Video Creators, a lot of people think it's like, oh yeah, it's about YouTube, but it's actually about people. Like people think we're about the video, but we're actually about the creators part of that. And so we actually care about our clients' projects and as them as individuals and putting them first. And we are often, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but we often do things that we really don't need to do just because it puts our customer first, whether it's going above and beyond, whether it's doing refunds when we don't really need to, or it's not on us, or we're not obligated to, just like it's. Yeah, I don't want to give us examples because I don't want to set expectations necessarily because we don't do it all the time. But whenever it makes sense, this is about people first. And so that comes up almost every week in our team. Like, yep, I did this. It was people first. That's why I did it. I'm like, perfect, good. 3, mission oriented. Like we really care about each creator's mission and try to and draw that mission out of them so that the ultimate result of our time together is that they are equipped now to reach more people and change their lives with their YouTube channel and with their business and helping them be able to accomplish their mission, even if they don't even come into it, even knowing what that is. And then our internal 3 are own it. Like we own what we do. Each member knows what we're responsible for. We bring our own creativity and dedication to the table every day for that stuff. Number 5, we do what's right. So we are a team of people who we just trust and follow our processes and our procedures. We work hard. We strive to do what's right, even when that means we have to improvise to do so. It's like we do the right thing, even when it means we got to break our systems and our rules. So that's really important to us. And then 6, change is good because our industry, the internet itself is changing very, very rapidly. So having those core values has been really, really important for helping us decide what do we do in this situation. Well, this situation, this is a people first situation. So we're going to do this thing, even though we're not obligated to, even though it's going to cost. Like I've made decisions that are people first that have cost our business. Thinking one in particular, it's cost me about $40,000. $40,000. My goodness, that's a lot of money. But it was the right thing to do. And my relationship with that person is still intact because of it. And I will almost always put relationships before money. And that was an example. I had to put my money where my mouth was, literally, not literally like in my mouth, but you know what I mean? Like it was it was like, hey, Tim, do you want to go after this situation and get the money that you lost, or for the sake of this person, the relationship? I don't know. I don't want to get too many details about that, but yeah. Okay. So doing the same thing for your family, like what is true about your family? And if you knew like this is who we are as a family, it would really help define and solidify the decisions you make and the direction that you go, knowing like this is who we are. Now the process, I'll give you a quick process for me figuring some of this out. And I'll be honest, I did not. This process I actually used from someone else, a dad I know here in the Cincinnati area. Actually, his name is Rich Tile, and I really hope I get to maybe do an interview with him because he's another guy that I know who owns his own business and uses a lot of the business skills to run and manage a successful family. And by successful family, I mean like his kids. Our kids are ages 3 to 11. 7 kids in there, ages 3 to 11. His kids are like in college and beyond. So like he's been doing this a lot longer than I have, and has been able to see more of the fruit down the road of that. So hopefully we get to talk to him about this process that I'm borrowing from him. But so Rich told me, he's like, Tim, when you're doing this for your family, just take a lot of time to think and stew on this, basically. So have some time just to think and dream and discuss with your spouse, whiteboard it, mind map it, write a story of what you want, like a story of your family to be about, like whatever works for you. Just really just think through this. It's not something you just like, got it, you arrive at this place, and then it kind of even changes a little bit over time too. As your kids get older, you get more information and things change. But so maybe some questions, just like, hey, what is your vision for your mission for your family, like that you're currently living? Where are you at? Like, what do you really like about the story that you're living and don't like about the story that you're living? What elements of a family vision would you like to live? Like, this is the picture I would love to draw for our family that we would like to be. Maybe like, what are you all about as a family? Like your family's purpose. I know some families I know, they're just all about their kids' sports. Other families just like, is really just about the dad being successful. The whole family seems to support that. Other families, I mean, are just all about like this martyrdom mentality of like, hey, you can't be a Christian and make money at the same time. And like, so we're just going to suffer for Jesus. And I'm not down on that. And I always kind of said that in a negative tone of voice. I guess I'm just saying that because that's not where I'm at. So maybe it comes across that way. But yeah, so like, what are you all about as a family? And then I think it's really important to like, also it's helpful to consider just like what gifts, if you're a Christian, like what spiritual gifts do each person in your family like have, or if you're not, not religious type, that's fine too. But you can still look at your family and be like, what is my kid really good at? Like they just naturally excel in this. Or what is my wife, like what is her passion? What is her sweet spot? And then thinking about like, how do I support this in our family? And maybe there's like a younger kid who's got maybe some some underdeveloped gifts or talents that you really see them growing into, and maybe your own gifts and your talents and abilities. What are those in the family, and how do you what is that makeup? If everyone, like I know everyone's got their own personal interests and stuff, and that should be considered. But what if there was a way for everyone's interests and talents and skills and abilities and giftedness to all come together? And if you're like a Christian, you believe often that God puts you together, like literally, He like put you together as a family and said like, here, like you've got this mission together as a family, and why? Like, how do you utilize all the unique giftedness and talents in your family for to accomplish like this mission? And so, thinking about what your family is all about can be maybe helpful as like a family purpose, and considering everyone's strengths. And you can maybe get input from other families, ask them to tell you like, hey, what do you see our family's strengths are? What are we really, really, really good at? You could just ask other people. This is kind of the same thing I try to do with my business as well. Like in our business, we just call it zone of genius. Like what is each person on my team's zone of genius, and how do I equip them and set them up to succeed in an area of our business that they are just like uniquely and perfectly equipped to do. A lot of that has to do with the hiring process, making sure you hire the right people who the job that you're hiring for, like that job is their zone of genius. And things change, over time too. People's interests and stuff change. But how do I like set them up so they don't feel like they're just doing a job, but they feel like I have a role in something much bigger, and I am accomplishing something that I just really, really love doing, and I would almost do this for free if there was a practical way to do it, right? So doing that both in the family and with your team members, and just like, yeah, what gives me life? What are my dreams, our passions together, and just getting input on that from everyone in your family. Now, a couple things to watch out for here. One is like your mission, your vision, this narrative. It should unify your family. If it's like just something that you get really excited about, but your spouse isn't, or your kids are like, yeah, whatever, dad, whatever, mom, like you're kind of like, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to unify your family's team, your business's team, so the whole team, whether they're employees or they're your kids, feel like I know where we're going together as a family. I know what this is all about, and this is my role in that. And in fact, this could not happen if it wasn't for me. Like hopefully in your business, your employees feel that way because they're like, if I wasn't doing this job, I can see how this team would fall apart. This business just wouldn't function as smoothly as it does. But often, like, we don't think that way about our kids, about our family. Like, if my kids, would they feel like I am really needed here, and the unique personality and gifts that I'm bringing, like, this is really, really needed. So it needs to unify. If it's not unifying, I think you're kind of maybe just making your own personal vision, which is totally cool. I have one personal one as well. Just for me, like, I just really, that's a whole another topic maybe, but love figuring out systems that reproduce fruitful results just almost on their own, whether it's business systems, family systems. That's why I love permaculture and homesteading, like the way the chickens take care of the garden for us so we don't do any weeding, and they fertilize it and scratch it, and then it's just like a perfect soil, and we get all these amazing strawberries that all we got to do is go out there and just eat them, right? So it's like those types of systems. Or video games, same thing. I love this amount of damage with this shield and that action and this type of environment with this type of character and this amount of seconds or this amount of time, whatever, equals like victory. Like, I just love those type of algorithmic process system types of things. All right. Make sure that it's not too big, that it just kind of feels overwhelming, like this mission and vision, that you don't feel like everyone's like, what the heck, you know? You want to make it big enough that it feels exciting, but not so big that it's like, yeah, that'll never happen, right? And I think sometimes this can start to feel constraining too. The goal here is to make it brings freedom. Like, this is like, oh, now I know as a family we're supposed to be living into. And if you kind of feel like you and your family, your spouse are kind of fighting through this process, like you're probably doing it wrong. Like, something's not connecting well. And it could also expose different visions for your family or for your business. In your family, it's like a different vision between you and your spouse maybe. And you realize, like, hey, I have this vision for our family, and she has this vision. How do we reconcile these two things? How do we bring them together? And it forces you to have really good conversations that put you, hopefully, on the same page, just like you would need to do with a business partner. Like, what are your ownership objectives? That's what they call it in business world. Your ownership objectives for this business versus my ownership objectives. And if those are conflicting with each other, we're going to have some problems as we leave this business together. We've got to figure that out. So what are your quote unquote ownership objectives for your family, right? And having those conversations. It's also important you don't get too married to this vision, because it will change. Your kids will grow up over time. You will mature and have different experiences over time that will shift your focus. And expect it to take a lot of hard work too. It's not just something you flip a switch and you figure out. So I would recommend it as a kind of like a beginning place to just get started. Like, I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of the dad. I think a mom could do this too. But as the dad, just like initiate the conversation with your spouse. Like, here's what I'm thinking. Like, family vision. I want it to help us make better decisions about our family. I want to make sure our family and our business ends at this place that I'm envisioning, and then. And just starting that conversation and seeing where that goes. And then start by just like talking together with your kids. Even if they're teenagers, certainly pull them in. If they're a little bit younger, you maybe just talk to them about, like, hey, what do you really like doing? What's your favorite thing to do? And if it's watch TV and play video games, I would recommend you gently correct them and steer them towards something else. Not against those things, but yeah, if those are the main consuming things, they can. That's a whole nother topic. We went 1 year with no screen time with our kids because, like I said in the first episode, like, The systems that work for 1 or 2 kids do not work for 7 kids. That's a whole nother story. We will do that. We want 1 year with no screen time except for FaceTime with grandparents and their piano app they had to do. But other than that, yeah. So we'll talk about that at a future one. But yeah, just start talking it down, or talking about it, writing it down, what gifts, strengths they have, and just start to further refine strengths and weaknesses that you see in your family and things you do really well as a family team and things that have maybe tied your grandparents' generations together, and then just dream a little. What's life like for you guys in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Doing this on a family level as well as on a business level, and then just start writing things down. Just write a draft. Like, this is where I think our mission is. This is where I think our vision is. And then let it rest for a couple of days, come back, maybe tweak it a couple of days later, share it with your spouse, get some input from them, and then work together just to, meet until you get to this point where, like, I feel like I've got like this mission statement, and then bring it to the kids. What's missing, what you like, what you don't like, what's encapsulated here, what feels like too much, too little. Rewrite it, tweak it. It's not really like a 8-point A, B, C, D to get to this thing. It's a lot of just conversations, meditation, thinking, praying, back and forth conversations over this mission, vision, narrative, making choices about what we are and what we aren't and things, and then bringing it to the kids and then to the point where you get to okay, this might not be perfect, but this is a good starting point for us. You celebrate it, and then you really need to start living it out. Like this, it should be, if you did it well, it should be something that you're already kind of naturally living out already, and now you're just doing it more intentionally. It's not. This isn't a thing of what you aspire and hope your family would be, but really just isn't you, right? Like if you're we want to be a team, a family team that is really changes our town to be more inspired for fitness or something, but your family doesn't work out, that's the wrong thing, right? It should be pretty reflective of who you are, not as much an aspect. The vision can be more aspirational if everyone's excited about it. So yeah, and then once a quarter, just do a check-in. How are we living this out? Is this anything in here we need to tweak? Does this feel like this is putting a death grip on our family, or are we just maybe holding this too loosely and it's really not us as much as we thought it was, or as much as we wanted it to be? Doing those things, having those conversations, just continuing, work on it is all part of this process. So I share with you part of our businesses, our core values, and what we're all about in terms of reaching people, changing their lives. For us, it's all about building authentic relationships in our business, Video Creators. It's about providing expertise and authentic relationships. I'm doing this from memory now, see if I can get this right. That providing expertise and authentic relationships that helps us train our clients to grow their business and grow their platform so they can reach more people and change more lives, including their own. So that is most people know us for the for the expertise. That's what they buy from us. But then when they start going through this client experience with us, they find out oh my goodness, you guys really do care about me, and they kind of want to keep going, which is great for us. We're fine. They want to keep going. We don't try to get anyone hooked they can't leave. But it's I feel like you guys understand me, and we get that pretty regularly, that we do focus on people first, and then it's the authentic relationships that lead not into just hey, how's your YouTube channel doing, but hey, how are you doing? Hey, are you doing all right today? You don't feel it doesn't seem like you're, and we start. I can tell you so many stories about that, where I'll be out in LA working with some Hollywood executive producer or something, and then we start by talking about YouTube, but by the end of the meal, they're telling me hey, my wife left me, I'm sleeping with this other girl, should I go after my wife? Yes, freaking yes, go after your wife, right? But those are the types of conversations that just naturally seem to happen when you're people first, and people start to sense that and actually believe it and feel that. So anyway, so our family, this is our family mission for Schmoyer Family, and I will try to put a link in the description, the show notes of this episode. You guys can go check it out. I have an Instagram photo of it. I made this big wooden plaque and mounted it on our wall. The hard part is not super editable anymore this way, but at least it's one of the first things people see when they walk into our family. This is what the Schmoyer Family is all about. So our family, the Schmoyer family mission is to see glimpses of God's kingdom expanding in the lives of our family, our city, and the world around us. That's based on Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you as well. So we are seeking glimpses of God's kingdom and expanding in the lives of our family, our city, and the world around us. And our pillars, which is maybe another word for our core values, we have 6 of them. Multi-generational influence. So I'm just reading it to you guys here. Influence is the tool we use to train our children, reach people, disciple others, and generate resources for our family and His kingdom. Training a large family gives us multi-generational kingdom influence for centuries. So like that last line, multi-generational influence is like, we think influence is how we train children. We have influence over them. We think influence is how we reach people and disciple others. And it's also what generates resources for our family through our business, like social media, quote unquote, influence. Now, I think influence should be redefined as having a large following to being someone who has influence, literally. But as we have a lot of like 7 kids and they grow, and maybe one day have kids of their own, like that math multiplies generationally pretty quickly in terms of if we have a family of Schmoyers who grow up with this idea of having a kingdom influence that could hopefully lead for centuries. Number 2, serve generously. We serve each other, those who come into our home, our city, and other families through our businesses. And so like a goal of our business is not just to make money, but this is an opportunity that we see of how can we serve other people. And then money, revenue, is one of the primary metrics we can look at to determine how well are we serving other people, how well are we serving their families, how many people are there who are giving us money saying, I want the service that you provide because it's going to benefit me in some way. Number 3, we sacrifice for future reward. What we wrote here is we endure temporary pain and make sacrifices for long-term reward. We do what's right, not necessarily what's easy. This is another way of just saying, delayed gratification. That's important to us. Like we will start a business even though it's hard and takes a long time to grow, because one day it'll be really good for us. Or we will plant apple trees because right now it's really hard, but in 3 years from now we're going to have the fruit from that. Or homeschooling 7 kids, that's sacrificing, but we think that the future reward is worth it. That comes for our family for homeschooling. I'm not saying that's true for every family, but I do think it's more true than it's not for our family. Having 7 kids, like that's a lot of work. It's a big sacrifice, but one day I think the reward will be worth it. Yeah. All right. Number 4, kingdom driven. So we set our hope on God's story and the glory that will one day be revealed that drives us to see glimpses of it now. So where do we see God working in the lives around us and in our lives and people around us? And how do we join that and try to, what can we do to lend our hand to that, to see that the goodness there, the fruitfulness that's there expand and impact even more people? Double resources is number 5. We manage resources the Master entrusts to us with the intention of doubling its fruitfulness by the time He returns. That's based on the story that Jesus tells in the Bible. He's like, hey, give all these people some servants some resources, and then He was satisfied with the people who took that and doubled the resources. The people who just buried it and squandered it and wasted it, not as happy with those people. So we're like, okay, if His intention is like, what can we do to take what He's given to us and double its fruitfulness? And then finally, lifelong learners. We continually invest into resources, experiences, and relationships that train us to more deeply believe God's story and live as the characters He created us to be in it. So always learning, whether it's businesses. I'm always trying to go through business books and audiobooks or conferences and listening to podcasts and things myself. But it's not just resources and online materials, it's relationships too. That train us to more deeply believe that this is who God's created me to be in the story that He is unfolding, in His story that is unfolding around me. So I'll try to put a link to that in the show notes for you guys if you want to check it out. But yeah, so just this whole family vision mission thing. I know maybe again it sounds like intimidating, but it really to us is like one of the primary tools we use to determine to determine like, what do we say yes to? What do we say no to? What do we focus on? What do we want to be the best in the world yet at? What are these distractions that are disguised as opportunities so that we can move forward, take new ground, and our business actually ends up here where we want it to? I'm like pointing with my fingers in case you can't see it. Or our family ends up here, relationally, financially, spiritually, physically, whatever, those things might be. So those have been some really valuable tools for us. If you guys go to the link in the show notes here of this episode, there's a link where you can leave me a voice message. And we got one here from a guy named Jake. And I'm going to play his message for you guys here now.
Hey, Tim, this is Jake, and I'm really looking forward to this podcast. I've been in public education for the past 12 years and decided that it was time to get out and to homeschool our girls with my wife. And this is a brand new journey for us and something that we're really looking forward to. And already as a team, I think we're doing really well and being really focused together. But I also think that getting your input and what you've already done and things you've put in place as a family are going to be super helpful and super beneficial to all of us who are deciding to make a switch from what culture has to offer currently. And I'm just really excited. So I'm looking forward to what you have to say, and keep up the great work. Thanks, Tim.
Jake, man, it's so good to have you along for the ride. Thanks for being a part of this. I know it's only been like one episode so far. So really looking forward to seeing and hearing from you more about how this maybe podcast helps and changes your life, impacts you, anything good that comes out of this for you. I'd love to hear it. And for anyone else who's listening, feel free to send me voice messages. I will do my best to listen to as many of them as I can and incorporate the on-topic ones into our podcast here. If it's just like a YouTube question or something like that, probably won't get to that one. But if it's a response, a reaction, a question, anything you guys have, like I kind of want to make this a dialogue and not just here's some things happening in Tim's head that you should know about. So yeah, feel free to use that link, leave me some voice messages, and I'll incorporate them into the upcoming episodes here. So thanks for being a part of this experiment with me, guys. Love hearing back from you guys in terms of what your thoughts are to all this. And not sure the next episode is coming, but hopefully it'll be in a few days because I've got lots more thoughts in my head that I want to talk about between how we grow both fruitful families and businesses at the same time. So thanks, guys. See you then. Bye.